Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flipping Junkie podcast. I've got a great episode today. It's just me interviewing myself. I'll try to keep it to two different voices so that you know the interviewer and the interviewee for this episode. It's probably gonna be pretty hard, but maybe I can do like a deeper voice for the interviewer, and then a normal kind of voice for the interviewee. That's a lot more soothing. Maybe find that more appealing, and then you have the gruff interviewer. Anyway, enough of that. We'll just have one voice because it's gonna be way too hard for me to do that throughout this whole episode. But what I wanted to do was talk today about online lead generation really quick. It's not gonna be a super long episode, but I want to share the story of how our flipping business expanded and grew to the point where we had a lot of time to do all this other stuff. So if you're not familiar, we also have Lead Propeller real estate investor websites. Flip Pilot launched Beta, which is a real estate investor software system, a whole business efficiency system. And then we have FlippingJunkie with the podcast and the blog and all of that kind of stuff, along with seller lead hacks training and different things. And everybody's always asking, how are you guys doing all of that stuff? Like, you've done all of this stuff. And if you get emails from me, you know that there's a lot of different things that we do, and it's kind of amazing when you stop and think about it. But we just have been working on a lot of things for a long time, but the flipping business is still going. And the main reason for that, one of the biggest reasons for that, is because we chose a lead generation source and became the experts in it to allow ourselves to not have to spend so much time trying to generate those leads for our business. And that's really a lot of the work that a lot of us real estate investors are normally doing, is working on keeping that deal funnel full, right? Getting those leads to make sure we have consistent deals going through our business so that we're profitable and we don't have to go back to a full-time job if you've already gone full-time in flipping. So this is really big, and it's a really important piece, because so many investors, I think, tend to try a lead generation source and they kind of dip their toe in a little bit, and it doesn't work out when they barely, did much to try to make it work because the expectations weren't there. It was not their fault. They just didn't know what to expect doing direct mail or doing real estate, a website like online lead generation, or doing any of these other types of marketing. If you don't know what to expect, you don't know if the results you're getting are normal. Okay. And so that's pretty much what a lot of people are experiencing when they're trying to generate all these leads. So you're always kind of looking for that new lead source, right? Like, what's the new thing? What's everybody doing now that's working? Because I tried direct mail and it didn't work, and I tried a website and it didn't work. I want to focus on lead generation through online methods today during this podcast, because that's what we focused on. All of the top real estate investors that I know are successful because they focus on 2 to 3 different lead generation sources, and they just become experts at it. They don't try to do 20 different things to generate these leads and deals. Some of them do, but they have the core of the 3 that really brings all their business, and then they try to add to it with all these other ones sometimes. But if they didn't have those 3 core, it would be an up or down roller coaster that would be unbearable, especially if you're growing and having a team where you need to have that volume. And so what we focused on for a long time was the website. And so how that came to be, if you haven't heard the story before, I was a software developer before getting into house flipping. So right after I graduated college with a computer science degree, I went to work for a defense contractor, working in a SCIF, which is like a bank vault almost, where we couldn't have a cell phone, didn't have any windows, all that kind of stuff. And my father started flipping houses at that time. And when I saw him, it was like his life had completely changed. He was so excited about every single day, running around doing these deals, telling me about these deals he was doing. He was going to make $20,000 on this house and $30,000 on that house, and just having a blast. And I remember thinking, man, I want to do that. I want to be outside. I don't want to be stuck in this room all day long, trading my time for dollars. And, so we started getting into the business on weekends and evenings, going out and driving for dollars, looking for properties that were distressed and sending them postcards, and putting up bandit signs and doing all of that kind of stuff just to get that phone ringing. And it was kind of hard to keep things consistent. And we had to keep doing those things to generate those leads and try to get those deals. And I remember thinking, well, why don't I need to set up a website? I need to to get a website going because I want to see if I can get these leads through the website. I'm sure people are searching for this. Now, this was back in about 2005, I think it was. So quite a ways back. And there were already people there on Google, you know, for some of the keywords like we buy houses and sell your house fast, San Antonio, and all that kind of stuff. But it still took a little while to get the website ranked, and had to figure out how to do that. So I would spend evenings in bed on the laptop trying to figure out what I could do to get my website to rank in the search results, so that when somebody searched for something like that, where they needed to sell their house fast, they would see my website and be able to come and fill out the information or give us a call about the house that they wanted to sell. And I remember, you know, working on trying to rank a certain keyword, and I would be on page 2, and I would do like look for different things that I could try, called search engine optimization, that I could do to my website to try to make it rank better, and making those changes, spending hours and hours making those changes, and then checking back a couple weeks afterwards to see if my ranking had gone up. And I would go to the first page just hoping, crossing my fingers, I hope I'm ranking now for that keyword, and it wouldn't be there. And I say, well, hopefully I went up on the second page at least and seeing some progress. And I go to the second page and my heart would just drop. And, you know, I would be so frustrated because then I wouldn't even be on the second page anymore. What I did caused the opposite reaction, and the algorithm for Google knocked my website down in the ranking. So I never kind of knew what was going to work and what wouldn't, because across the internet, a lot of the SEO tips, you don't know if they're old or still work, or if they might get your site penalized. So there's a lot of risk in some of that. But over the years, I didn't give up. We kept doing it. We had success with it. And so for a long time, I didn't really want to share that information, so, right? Because we were getting these leads and deals. And if we invite the competition, you know, what are we going to do? Like, what if they outrank us and all that kind of stuff? And so I wasn't really sharing much of that with friends or anything, and other people that flipped houses at the time. And, you know, what forced me to kind of share that information with people was after we had gone on a 3-week trip up the West Coast. So we went from San Diego all the way up to Seattle in 3 weeks, and we had a blast. But we stopped at a Air and Space Museum, I think it was, up in McMinnville, Oregon, where they have the Spruce Goose, which is Howard Hughes's giant flying boat that he built in World War II. If you ever saw the movie Aviator, that's what's in that movie. I think they talk about it in that movie. But while we were there, I told my wife, I said, when I get back, I'm going to take flying lessons. I'm just going to do it. When we get back, I'm going to start taking flying lessons. So I got back from the trip, I started taking flying lessons, and I got into it completely. And there wasn't much else I wanted to think about during those several months. I think it took about 3 months. And I was just studying, taking tests, and going flying, and just having a blast. And the business kind of suffered. I wasn't doing any more marketing, and, you know, the website, I hadn't done much. So it was kind of losing ranking, and we just weren't getting that many leads. And after I got my pilot's license, I was done with training, I felt like I had lost momentum in the business, in the flipping business. And I was kind of back to square one in a way, because I had to ramp everything back up. We didn't have as many leads coming in and weren't doing deals, and I had to do something. And at the time I was working with one of my friends, and we were kind of doing these accountability meetings every week. We're holding each other accountable. He wanted to get into the business, and I wanted to grow my business and get it going again. And I remember talking to him and telling him, you know, I need some motivation. You know, I want to help you, but I want to help other people too. I want to help more people. So what if I create a blog, right? I can create a blog, and I can tell people how I'm doing what I'm doing to grow my business back up. And I think at the time we had been doing close to like 35 deals a year. And so I wanted to crank that back up and get it going and show people what we were doing. And at the time, there was only 2 types of blogs really that I saw on the internet. And one type would be the houses that they were flipping. You would see pictures of the drywalls going in today, and they do the pictures of the drywall going in. New kitchen, backsplash going in, all that kind of stuff. So the posts were mainly about the houses being remodeled, sort of like HGTV kind of stuff. And then the other type of blog was the informational, the how-to, right? How to analyze a deal, how to do this kind of marketing, how to do this or that. But what there wasn't anywhere that I could see was where people were actually telling them how they were doing the marketing, the deals that they were getting, the calls, why the people were selling the house, how they analyzed the deal, how they decided whether they were going to go look at the house and make an offer, all the way through buying deals and rehabbing them, what they spent on the rehab, what they're going to make, all that kind of stuff, all on one blog. It just wasn't around. So it was like light bulb, right? I'm going to share everything I'm doing. I need to crank up my marketing again. So I'm going to do bandit signs, and I'm going to do all this other stuff I was doing to get things going quickly and work to get that website ranked back up. And so I started documenting every single week what I was doing, the marketing I was doing, the leads that came in. Every single lead was actually documented, where I was saying, they were selling a house because of this, and they wanted this amount, they owed this amount. And based on my 70% of after repair value, I could offer this much, and then I still need to budget for repairs. And so if they owed too much, I would say, no, that's not a deal. I can't make that a deal next, right? And so over 34 weeks, I documented on that blog every single thing I did and the deals that we did. I think we generated almost 500 leads, and I documented every single one of those on the blog. And this became the book. So if you ever saw the book, Flipping Houses Exposed, that's that book from those blog posts. Now it's been edited and put in more of a readable format for a book. And it's actually a print book now. And you can find that on Amazon. If you want to get that right away, though, while you're waiting for it from Amazon, go ahead and go to FlippingJunkie.com/book. So FlippingJunkie, JUNKIE, just like the podcast, .com/book. And you can get that PDF for free of the book to read it there. And of course, the blog that I've been talking about that we're doing is the FlippingJunkie.com blog. So 495 leads documented, right? And people were saying, this has really opened my eyes to the fact that this is all a numbers game. House flipping is a numbers game. If we can figure out how many leads it takes for us to get a deal, and we know how much we're going to make on a deal, we can know how many leads we want to do X amount of deals and X amount of profit for the year. You can figure this stuff out, and you can see how you're doing against that baseline. But I think a lot of people getting into the business, again, with the expectations, right? So they get into the business and they think, if I go and look at 10 MLS properties, 10 listed houses, bank owned or something, and I make offers on those, I should get a deal, right? And it's just not really the case for most people, especially when you're new, because you're not, analyzing the deal very well. You can't get your numbers real tight. You got to be a little bit more conservative. It's a little bit harder to get a deal. But I think that book showed a lot of investors that, how many leads I was getting and how many I was just saying next. I wasn't giving a second thought to ones that weren't possible to be a deal. I wasn't trying to turn a non-deal into a deal. Instead, I was saying, I want more leads. I just want more to sift through to find those great deals. And then we just do the great deals and not waste our time and energy trying to make a non-deal a deal. This is huge. And too many people waste their time with this. They don't spend enough on marketing, and then they don't get enough leads. And then they wonder why they don't get enough deals, because they're wasting time on the few leads that they have trying to figure out how to turn those into a deal when it's not possible. It's time to go move on, say next, and work at getting more deals. So the other thing for that with the book that is, I was explaining where every single lead was coming from, right? So we had, Yellow Page ad at the time. We had the bandit signs being put out. We had letters, direct mail, and then the website. And people saw that the majority of our leads every single week were coming from our website. And so what happened was people were starting to ask, hey, where can I get a website? Just like yours, I want to do the same thing. I want to start getting those leads, because those tend to be the better ones where you're getting the deals from too, not just getting more leads, but more likely to become a deal. Where can I get a website? And I didn't really have a good place to send them, because I had built my own website and had built some things into it, some technology into it, so that we could have an advantage over other people with the website. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. And at the time, didn't really have any place to send them, and I didn't have the time to build people's websites. It wasn't cost effective for me to do that. My time was worth more flipping houses. And it wasn't until several years later where I was talking to my friend Brandon, and we were talking. He said, nobody's offering real estate investor websites at the time. Nobody right now is offering websites, and why not, right? So many investors need them. And at that time, then it was like a light bulb. It's like, oh, I could create a system where they could get websites and have all the content already there, have this technology built into it, so they'd have advantage of over other websites, over competitor websites, and that'll be really cool. And I can get into a little bit of the software stuff again that I really enjoy doing. I just didn't like working for somebody else doing software, but I really enjoy creating software. And so we set out to create Lead Propeller. And so if you've heard of Lead Propeller, we've now helped thousands of real estate investors with their online presence and generating thousands and thousands of motivated seller leads and investor buyer leads for wholesalers, all that kind of stuff through these websites. And it's been very cool because we've been able to create this technology built into it too, like two-step opt-in forms. We were the first people to do that. I've heard other people say they were the first, but it's just not true. We have a short form on the homepage, and when somebody fills that out, it's less commitment from them because it's not asking for a whole laundry list of questions. They just have to fill out a few pieces of information, and then they click next, and it goes to a longer form then. So even if they don't fill out the longer form, you have their contact info, and you can reach out to them. Now, another thing that we made sure that we did was we included text notifications so that when somebody submitted the form on your website, they got a text after a little bit of time, within a number, like a minute or so, that had the information that they typed in the text message, so it looked like somebody actually typed it. And so you can specify the message so it says something like, hey, thanks for reaching out to Danny Buys Houses. We got the information about the house on 123 Main Street. I'm going to give you a call in just a minute. And so they're thinking, wow, these people are professional. And then you as the website owner, the real estate investor, will get a text message saying, hey, new lead on your website. Here's the info. And then you can click and dial out right to that motivated seller right then and there, likely while they're still on your website. And the beautiful thing about that is when you think about looking for a service on Google, like if you're looking for some type of service for your home or something else, what do, right? You go to one website, you read through the stuff, you might submit some information, and then you hit the back button and you go to the next one. Because why not, right? It's quick, simple, you're not talking to anybody, and you might fill out that information for several websites. That's what a lot of motivated sellers do. So you have to be able to contact them and have that conversation first before your competitors. And this is where you get that advantage. When you get that text message over to you and you can call them while they're still on your website, you can talk to them, build rapport, set an appointment, and then they're less likely to go to another one because they've already accomplished what they set out to accomplish. Now they can go out and mow the lawn, play with their kids, or whatever else that they want to do instead of looking for somebody else because they've taken care of what they set out to do and get that appointment set. And so those websites have just been amazing, helping thousands of investors to be able to do that. And I want to talk about some of the problems that people have had with trying to do it. So if you've ever tried a real estate investor website before and it didn't work for you for whatever reason, I want to talk to you guys. And if you've never tried this before, I want to talk to you about 3 things that I've seen people make mistakes with that cause them to not do well and give up on online. Okay. So if you haven't done it before, you've tried it before, I want to show you these 3 things that will make or break the online lead generation game. So let's start with the first one here. This one is not having a complete online presence. Okay, so this one, let me take a drink real quick since I'm having to interview an interviewee. I feel like I haven't even taken a breath this whole time, but okay, so I was at my dentist office, and whenever I left, there was a couple having a conversation outside the door. And as I walked past, I heard the woman say to the man, yeah, I looked for them online, but I couldn't find them. And then I got on Facebook and I couldn't find them there either. And the guy responds with, oh, well, I guess we'll need to find somebody else. And it dawned on me right there in that moment that this is what people are doing with services. This is what they're doing. They're getting online and they're looking for people to find out more about them, read reviews, see if they're credible. And think about it. If you're sending out direct mail and people are getting a postcard or something that says, I want to buy your house and pay you cash, they don't know if you're legit or not. And they want to find out more about it before they get on the phone with a stranger and possibly waste their time. And so they're going to go online a lot of times and try to find you and try to find more information about you. So what happens if they do that? They search your phone number, they search your business name, and most of us are putting stuff like We Buy Houses on the cards. and they're typing that into the browser, they're going to find your competitors, right? If you're not there, if you're not ranking and showing up. And so this isn't something that we can really ignore anymore either. We can't just stick our head in the sand and say, well, I'm not worried about that. I'm doing all my business is direct mail, so I don't have to worry about it. You do have to worry about it because people are doing this more and more, as evidenced by that conversation that I overheard. And that's just happening all the time. You know, our grandmothers are even doing this stuff. And so it's not just having a website though. This complete online presence is having the Google My Business page. So even if you don't have a website, do yourself a favor and set up a Google My Business page and fill that thing out with as much information as you can. Put images in front of ugly houses and stuff like that on that. Please do not use the term ugly in any of this advertising online though, because We Buy Ugly Houses is trademarked, and you don't want to get in trouble for that. So just do not use the word ugly in any of that marketing. All right, and then Facebook business page. You need one of these as well in this day and age. Everybody's on Facebook, and you just need to be there. Yelp. Yelp is another one that a lot of people just forget about. Get a Yelp account and set that up for your business, and then get reviews. Tons and tons of reviews. You have to be working on reviews. So if people go online and they find you and they see the other businesses, competing businesses, listings right next to yours, which one are they likely going to call? Right? They might be looking at yours because your postcard, so they could click on you. But if they see that the person underneath you has, 40 or 50 reviews, they're probably going to check them out too, or check them out instead, right? And it's not easy getting those reviews, getting people to use their own Google accounts after you've bought their house, or if it's a colleague of yours or something, to give these reviews is not easy to get. And so if you're ignoring this, in a year from now, you look in your market and these guys have 100, 200 reviews. How are you going to compete with that, right? It's not going to be easy. So you got to do it now. You got to start working on this and making it a process in your business to try to get these reviews on all these different websites: Google Business, Facebook Business Page, Yelp. And I'm going to tell you about a little secret here too. So, because if you go online right now and you type in We Buy Houses Sacramento or Sell My House Fast San Diego or whatever your market is, and you see that there's already people with a good number of views, it's not the end of the world, okay? And it's because of keywords. And I'm going to discuss that more here in a little bit. So that's the first one, having the complete online presence. You want a website so that somebody can see that you're a legit business, right? And you can put your own reviews and stuff on that website, have some video reviews, all that kind of stuff. And then having those supporting Google My Business page, Facebook Business page, and Yelp with a ton of reviews, right? So people are going to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And if they see this, if they see these third-party reviews, it's going to make you a lot more credible. And they're going to trust you more and want to work with you and sell to you. A lot of times, even if you offer less than somebody else, because they just felt like, you have more credibility. It means a lot in the service business when you're marketing a service. Okay, so number 2, let's move on to number 2 now. People fail at online lead generation because they don't know what to expect. We talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. If you have a website set up, it doesn't mean all of a sudden people are going to find it, right? There's millions, well, I guess there's billions, right, of websites. And it's not just going to be magically found. You've got to do some things to get traffic to it. Now, you could put it on your postcards and your direct mail, have people go there. You can use Craigslist as free a lot of times. And you can also do some other things. You can do pay-per-click, which is Google Ads. It's those ads, when you do a Google search at the top, they've got 4 ads. You can pay per click when somebody clicks on that ad of yours to go to your website. You can do Facebook marketing as well. And people are getting to some other things like YouTube marketing, stuff like that. We focus mainly on Google Ads, Bing Ads, and Facebook Ads. Okay, so those are ways to get your sites shown for keywords right away. Okay, but you got to spend money to do it. The other way is with search engine optimization. It's what I talked about doing in the evenings for months and months and months, and getting my website ranked organically without paying Google to put it there. Google says, hey, this website's credible and is optimized, and means that this is the one that we should show people because it's the most likely best match for what they're searching for. And so the thing to know and what to expect with SEO is that it takes time. Okay, so if you're doing SEO work or having a company like Lead Propeller do your SEO, you have to know that it takes time. Okay, in most markets, competitive markets, things like that, it's going to take 10 or more months. A lot of times even 12 or 14. Okay, so it's knowing that you're going to have that investment for that amount of time before the leads really start coming in. And you might be thinking, well, that's kind of a long time, right? Well, yes, and it's actually a really good thing. And I love this about search engine optimization because this keeps most of your real competition out. They don't know it takes that long. They try it out for 4 or 5 months, they give up, and they just write off that loss. They paid to do that, but then they didn't get as far as they wanted that quickly, and they quit, and they went and did something else. So this is awesome. It keeps most people out of this, all right? You guys are finding out what it really takes so that you know, and you just set aside that investment and you say, we're just going to stick with this till we get there. Because once we get there, we're going to be able to get in all these awesome leads and deals that nobody else or not many other people else are competing with us to get because they're not willing to do what it takes to get to the top. It's really an investment. And if you've ever tried to rank a website and you got your website to where certain keywords you were showing up at the bottom of the first page, but you still weren't getting leads, and you might have been thinking, well, maybe something's wrong with my website. Maybe I need to optimize my website more, or put a video here, or change this or change that. Well, most likely that problem was not with your website. Most likely the problem was the fact that you weren't in the top 3 organic spots, okay? So you have the 4 ads, and then the next ones below that are organic listings. And you really need to be in the top 3, because think about it. When you go to Google and you search for something, which results are you normally clicking on, right? It's the 1, 2, and 3 maybe ones. Those spots get the vast majority of clicks. So when you're ranking at the bottom of that first page, you're there, but not a lot of people are making it down there because Google is so good, right? They tend to show the results that for what people are actually looking for. So you don't have to go page after page after page to find what you're looking for. And so that's the key there. So knowing what to expect, right? You got to get up to the top 3 spots. You got to know how long it's going to likely take for your market and stick with it, making an investment and say, that's the 1 or 2, that's one of the 2 or 3 things that I'm going to focus on as a top level real estate investor. I'm going to make it work, right? Now with PPC, pay per click, which is Google ads, Bing ads, and then Facebook, you got to know what to expect there too. And a lot of people don't know how much they should be spending on Google ads, okay, for their paying for the clicks, their budget for the daily budget and stuff like that. Now, what we've always done is looked at this as, from a reverse engineering standpoint. And I touched on this a little bit earlier, of the fact that all this is a numbers game. So if you typically do rehabs or something and you average maybe $25,000 per rehab, and it takes you normally about maybe 10 leads, to keep the math simple, to get that one deal that makes you the 25,000. Well, then you're focused on, okay, well, how am I going to get the 10 leads? If you know that your website for your Google ads, when people clicked on the ads, that you had a conversion rate of 10%, then that would mean that you would need 100 clicks to your website to get 10 leads, okay? So you got 100 clicks that you paid for. You got a 10% conversion rate, meaning that 10% of those called you or submitted the form and actually became a lead, and then you got one deal out of it. And so at this point, we're looking at what is it going to cost to get those 100 clicks? In a lot of markets for the top keywords, you're looking at about $25. In some really hyper-competitive markets, it gets up to $40, $50 or more for some of these. But typically, you're going to see somewhere around $25, maybe $30 for a lot of these clicks. And so if we use 25 at 100 clicks, we're talking about $2,500, okay, $2,500. But you're going to get a deal likely that's going to make you $25,000, okay, in this example. And so who wouldn't do that over and over and over again, right? And it could be less or it could be a little bit more, but it's giving you sort of a baseline. And the reason I want to show you this is a lot of people will get into Google Ads and say, I'm going to try it out. I'm just going to see if it works. I'm going to try it out. What the heck? I'm going to spend $500 this month. $500, that's not going to get you a lot of clicks. And on top of that, you have a daily budget broken down of $500 divided by 30 or whatever amount of days in the month. A lot of times that ad spend will be gone after like one click, if that. And then the rest of the day or the evening, you're not showing up anymore because your budget is shot because it was too low. Okay, and this is huge. A lot of people don't know this, and they waste their money because they're just, the budget is too small, right? If you want to get that one deal, you might say, well, let's start it out at $2,500 this month, or $3,000 or whatever, if I want to try to get that deal within a month, just to get it going, see what, and you might tweak it and find out that you can get it a little bit better. You might get 2 deals out of that. All that kind of stuff can happen. But if you're not interested in kind of spending that kind of money, maybe you shouldn't start with Google Ads, okay? So that's the kind of thing there. Facebook is a little bit different. With PPC, with the Google Ads, people are actually searching specific things, you know, that you can target. And so if they say, I got to sell my house now, who will buy it, or something like that, you know, they're pretty darn motivated, right? They're looking for you. They're looking for exactly somebody like you that can help them out. Facebook, you're putting this out there, you're targeting some people, an audience and stuff like that, but you're just showing up there. They weren't actively looking for you. They could have happened to see you, your ad, and needed your service or whatever. But a lot of times what you'll find is the number of leads is more for the same amount of money. You'll get cheaper leads, but the leads aren't as good. They're not as targeted, as motivated with Facebook. So that's some information about that as well. Now, going back to the SEO part of it and ranking your website, you might think, well, what are the things that I can do to make sure that I'm ranking for these keywords? Because when I type in "We Buy Houses San Antonio," there's a ton of websites already there. And I type in "Sell My House Fast San Antonio," there's a ton of websites. Like, I've got a lot of competition. How am I going to compete with these guys? Well, the thing to realize here is that you're typing in 2 keywords. And that's not all that people look for that are looking to get an offer for their house or sell their house. There's a ton of situations that people find themselves in where they need your service, okay? And they're typing tons of different things. I think my website ranks for about like 4,000 or 5,000 different keywords right now. And so you can start with some of the lesser popular keywords and get your website ranked and get it ranked for a bunch of those. Maybe you don't get as much search volume there, but if you get ranked for a lot of them, you will be getting the search volume. And then you can tackle and try to beat those guys out for those top keywords. And the way to do this is with content marketing. This is with writing articles like blog posts that focus on these different keywords. Excuse me. And so what you want to do is you want to target those keywords, though, that are going to generate the warm traffic, not cold traffic, not people just looking to sell their house, because that could just be people looking for realtors and have no interest in taking a discount. They want top dollar. They want over market price for their house. You don't want to target those. You want to target the warm traffic, the people facing situations where they need a service like yours. Okay, help them out of the problem. And so what exactly are those keywords, right? Which ones should we focus on? You know, we could probably work and come up with some like how to sell a house in probate, how to probate a house, all these kind of different things with these different situations. But what we did, since we do a lot at Lead Propeller with our Lead Propeller Fuel service, where we run these pay-per-click campaigns and Facebook campaigns for tons of the top investors across the country, we have a lot of data to look at. And we looked at over $2 million in ad spend on Google Ads and found the keywords that produce the actual leads, okay? Because that's the conversion rate, right? If they type that keyword, they go to your website, and they actually call you or submit the form, that's a conversion. That's the one you want. If they search a certain keyword a lot, but they don't ever like do anything when they get to your website, it's not really a fit, right? They're not motivated enough, likely, because that keyword doesn't, you know, for whatever reason, that person typing that keyword tends to not be motivated. So what we did was we went through all of this data, right, from this $2 million of ad spend, and found the top 50 keywords that tend to produce leads, that have the higher conversion rates. And just because I'm super nice, right? You guys know I'm nice. I put this together for free for you guys to get. So if you go over to sellerleadhacks.com/keywords, sellerleadhacks.com/keywords, we'll put that in the show notes page as well. You can download that just put in your email. You're going to be able to download those keywords for free, and then have an offer for like a $17 content marketing book that shows you how to do content marketing to make use of those keywords to be able to do that. So super cool. This is something that is put together not just randomly from somebody guessing up keywords like I've seen a lot of other people do. This is from real world data where a lot of money was spent to find this stuff out, and we put it there for you guys for free. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Head over to sellerleadhacks.com/keywords and check that out. And like I said at the beginning of this, too many investors will try out things and not have the right expectations and feel like they've lost money. They'll spend $500 on pay-per-click, or they'll spend $500 on a direct mail campaign with no results. Maybe they got some leads, but they didn't get a deal. And they say, ooh, they're looking at it like I threw $500 away. And they might try to do it again. They might say, well, I'm going to try it one more time. I'm going to do $500, $1,000 maybe, double down. And, come back later and say, oh, I just threw that money away. Now it's all in this dark hole, this black pit. And I don't want to do that again. And, having those expectations up front so that you kind of know what to expect, and you can mentally prepare for that, to know that it's really a numbers game, and overcoming that threshold, overcoming that point where things actually tip in your favor and you get enough leads to get the deal to produce that profit, that return on investment, so that you can keep this thing going and you can build it up. Because like with the PPC example, $2,500, you make $25,000 on the rehab in that example. What can that do to your marketing budget? If you took and even spent half of that back into it, think about it. Where does that go, right? Like it's just building that momentum. It's getting over that hump, that hard spot where you're it's kind of hard to take a leap of faith and do that kind of stuff. Okay, and so check that stuff out and get the keywords. If you just go to sellerleadhacks.com, there's also a webinar that I do where I show you in detail a lot of this stuff. We talk about PPC and stuff like that, and have a way to get access to a training course that's going to show you how to do PPC and all this other stuff with online lead generation. It's basically all those years and years. It's almost 15 years now of generating thousands of motivated seller leads ourselves using our own website and through Lead Propeller, and all the customers, thousands of customers on that, all into this training course that you can have access to. A lot of people don't even know about this, that we offer this, and it's kind of like the best kept secret in real estate investing here if you want to generate all these awesome leads online, because they just tend to be better leads. People are looking for you in your business, right? Consider sending out this blanket, huge direct mail absentee owner campaign or something, and you get these calls where people are just pissed off. Why are you sending me this postcard? Why are you sending me this or that or the other thing? And they're pissed off because you just blanketed them. It's not right or wrong, but it doesn't feel good, right, when you get all of those calls. With online, you don't typically get that because they looked for you, they found you, and they were interested and excited that they found somebody to help them out. So it's completely different. It's pretty cool to experience that if you've never experienced that. So make sure that you check that out. If you'd like to just have Lead Propeller manage these kind of things for you and get that SEO going and get the PPC and Facebook ad stuff going, check out leadpropeller.com under the services tab at the top, and you'll find out more information. See if it's available in your market, because we do limit it per market. And yeah, that's it. So hope you guys enjoyed that and found out more about those 3 situations that people were typically give up on online because of. It's not having that complete online presence, not knowing what to expect, and then not focusing the right keywords on the warm traffic. Okay, and so get those keywords. If you didn't get it, I'm telling you, you got to go in there and get it. Get sellerleadhacks.com/keywords. Sellerleadhacks.com/keywords. Check that out. Thanks a lot for listening to the podcast, and hope you found that very helpful. I enjoy sharing that with you, because that's really kind of what's kept our business going and consistently generating these awesome leads and deals, so that we can have this freedom to do these other things that we do as well. So thanks again for watching, listening. If you enjoy Flipping Junkie podcast, please share it with somebody else that might benefit from it, and give us a rating and review on iTunes. It's always very helpful, and thank you all for that. So have a great week. Talk to you later.